Hi YouTube, my name is Christopher Lachey of CW Lachey Law. I'm an attorney here in North Carolina, and what you're about to watch is a presentation done at a town hall on Second Amendment rights in North Carolina, as well as certain federal laws. All right, questions? Yes, sir.
If someone breaks into my house when I'm gone and steals a gun that I have in my nightstand, what's the problem?
Well, they've broken into your house.
I'm gone.
So you've already met the first protective barrier. You put it in your house. You've locked your house. They've broken into your house. They've used that firearm for the commission of a crime. It's going to be wrapped up in the investigation, and it might be a while before you get it back. It might be 5-6 years. It depends entirely on the severity of the case, length of the case, how many appeals, mistrials, people saying I'm going to represent myself. Oh, I'm incompetent, Your Honor. I need to get an attorney, another continuance. Well, we need to do more discovery on this. It depends on the severity of the case, how long they can wrap that up. Because once it's wrapped up, that person's going to either go free or go to prison. So they're going to keep fighting it. Meanwhile, you're wondering when your gun's going to come back. And when it does come back finally, you'll have serial numbers on it. But if your concern is whether, it's in your nightstand so it's not secured, but it's in your house, and they broke into your house. It's not someone that had free access to your house. It's not a roommate or a family member that maybe had problems with drugs in the past, and you knew that he spent some time in prison, but you're letting your grandson stay with you now. He's 19, 20 years old, and he had some drug problems, been charged with a felony, and he's just in the house, and he takes that firearm because he knew where it is. Yeah, you might have some problems. You might have some explaining to do to law enforcement about that. More questions? Yes, ma'am.
So, I knew of a young man who bought a gun for Christmas for his girlfriend. Then they broke up. It never was put in her name.
Okay.
What is the issue there?
Couple of things. What you described is what's called a straw man purchase. The straw man purchase is an issue because you're not allowed to make a purchase on behalf of someone else. I know it happens all the time. People do it, but it's still illegal because she was not the one that went through the background check to take that firearm. The situation that you described is that when he gave it to her, he probably didn't fill out the transfer paperwork. He probably didn't keep the transfer paperwork for 7 years like he's supposed to. He probably didn't run a background check himself. So if she goes out and she commits a crime with that, he's going to get hauled in by the police because they're going to say, why does your name appear on this firearm? And he's going to have to explain how he purchased the gun for someone else. She did not go through any background checks. He did not conduct a background check, and he has no transfer paperwork. What he's done is commit a felony. That's up to 10 years in prison, $250,000 fine, and destruction of all the firearms involved in that, not just in general, not just all of your guns in general. But since it is a felony, and if you're convicted of it, then you find people to sell them to because you can't have them anymore.
So not even smart for your husband to go to a gun show and buy you a gun, his wife.
No, but your husband should not go to a gun show and say, I'm buying this for my wife. Don't ever say that. Even if that's what he thinks. Say, I'm buying this. I'm buying this gun for myself because I've always loved 32s. Can't wait to go shoot this 32. Boy, I've always wanted a 32. And then he can get home and then he can transfer it over to you. I still recommend go to a gun store, spend $25, do the transfer, and make them hang on to the paperwork for 7 years. They'll do the background check. They'll do everything for you. It's $25, and you don't have to worry about it again. Another question? Yes, sir.
You mentioned if you're stopped and you're a passenger and you have a gun, you should declare it to the driver. What if you are the driver and your passenger has not declared any firearms?
But you know they have them.
But you might not know they have them.
Well,
but it gets found.
And it gets found?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to jail.
Okay.
If you're the driver and you know he has a firearm, and perhaps he's not supposed to have a firearm, and you tell the officer, hey, he's got a firearm, Only he's going to get in trouble.
Right.
Sorry,
You-
Terry.
Like, you go to jail, but do you get in trouble? Is there any?
Yes, that's why you went to jail. You were going to be charged
I mean, if you did not know, sorry.
if you did not know. Gosh, so innocent. No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're still as the driver, you are responsible for everything in that car. You didn't know that your friend Joe had marijuana. You didn't know that Joe had an automatic weapon on him. You're still the responsible party. Everyone else gets dragged into it because now they're going to be asked, well, how well do you know Joe? Where did Joe get this?
Welcome to America.
Right.
Yeah, a Canadian. Sorry to call you out on that. Yes, sir.
In the example of you have a firearm in your car and you're stopped and you announce to the officer, I do have a firearm, and he asks you to retrieve the firearm. In light of current events, if you don't feel comfortable physically retrieving that firearm yourself, what's your recourse?
Okay, if you are actually that scared and you don't want to retrieve it, maybe it's just as simple as in your center console and you go, you know what, officer, I have a firearm. Don't tell him I'm not going to retrieve it. Say, if you want, you can say, I would rather you retrieve it and I will step out of the car, and then wait for the officer's instructions. You'll unbuckle, you get out of the car, let the officer in your car and say it's there, and then you just stand there. He'll probably make you put your hands on the hood and be done with it.
At that point, have you legally consented to a search of your car?
The whole thing, absolutely.
Which brings up another question. I was talking to a Mint Hill police officer, a friend of mine, who told me that drugs are often on a certain road out here, 218. And so he said, when I stop somebody, I always say to them, may I search your car? If you say, I said, no, I would not want you to search my car based on my constitutional rights to you not doing that. He said, you can stand on your rights, but if you told me no, I will assume there's something in there that you don't want me to see. And so I will have your car towed, it will cost you, and then I will have your car searched, and then you will have to deal with that.
What's his probable cause to search the car?
I don't know.
I would love to have that case because I'd love to talk to that officer. That is a violation of your constitutional rights. Next question. Yes, sir.
Going back to what you said earlier about, let's say you shot and killed somebody at your house.
Yes.
What if it was a home invasion? Are they still going to take every weapon you have in that house?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
What if you tell them you don't have any others?
They're probably going to look. And they're allowed to. They're allowed to search because probable cause is the dead body. It's tough being a gun owner. That's the problem. You might get away with having something in a safe in a back room that they walk past. You don't have to tell them where all of the guns are. But if they do a search and they find, shotgun in the closet or pistol in a drawer, then they're going to be seized. That also doesn't mean that you can't go out and buy another firearm right away. You haven't had your concealed carry rescinded. You haven't been charged with anything. You haven't been convicted of anything. You're likely able to still go out and purchase a firearm in the meantime. Now, I know, why would I have to go out and buy another gun? Well, and you can't return the gun. Again, it's a problem. But in situations like you just described, where you kill a home invader, I would recommend going out and getting another firearm. I would also recommend hanging low in a hotel for a while and not being home, because chances are that home invader had friends that are going to go shoot up your house or look for you or your family. That happens too. That actually happened here in Mint Hill about 2 years ago. They were fine. They were gone. They did exactly what I just said. They went to a gun store, very nice gun store, and the gun store owner was nice enough, sold them a Maverick 88 for $1 and let them have something to defend themselves with. And then they just avoided their house, and they got back about a week later and they had phone calls saying, yeah, they drove by and shot up your house. It happens.
But why weren't they in jail? Because if there's a dead body, I thought you said you're going to jail if there's a dead body in your house.
Well, the shooter's going to go to jail. You go to jail for about 24 to 72 hours while you're in holding. After that, you can get released on your bond, you get released on bail, and then you're free to go back to your house. So you get out, and then, like I said, they hung low for about a week. So after he got out, because I think it happened on a Thursday, got the magistrate, and then was released, had his bond hearing, and was released, and he was back home within 24 hours. Now, he still has to go to court. He still has to defend himself. Later, he was absolved, and he was sent that letter that said this was self-defense. But that's what happens. Next question. Yes, sir.
What's the bare minimum of protection that you need to have for your gun in order to not be charged with accessory before the fact?
If you...
Like one locked door between the gun and someone else, is that just enough?
That's enough.
So in the case of the roommate thing, if your door was locked, you're fine?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you frequently give access to your roommate to your room, and he's got a key to your room, and it's, I got the best bathroom in the house, so yeah, you can go ahead and use this. Whatever his reason is, yeah, absolutely, he can, that would be enough. You've tried to stop them. Yes, sir.
In a house search, can an officer make me open my safe?
In it would be a locked container. So if he's looking for firearms, those firearms might be in the safe, and so he would require you to open it. Now, if you refuse to open it, then they might try and force it open themselves. They'll send someone out, they'll get a locksmith, whatever they need to do. If they don't have probable cause, if you won't open it, they might have to get a warrant specific to that item. That happens sometimes too. People, like the car on the side of the road with drugs, if you won't let them search something and they have probable cause, or they say they have probable cause, and you say, well, I need a warrant, and you make them come back with a warrant, they will come back with a warrant and they'll pop that safe open. And it's not like you can just wait around and say, well, come back with a warrant, and then while they're gone getting the warrant, you're going to unload the safe and store it. An officer's going to sit there with you the entire time until they call the police station. There's a magistrate at the police station 24 hours a day. And he's the one that's going to, all right, won't open safe, probable cause, shooting, stamp it, and they will come back and they'll have the warrant and they'll make you open that safe.
Is there any legal advantage to having done that?
Sometimes they don't get the warrant. That's really it. That's usually in traffic stops. That's another talk. That's a talk for another day about drug offenses and drug dogs. About to wrap it up. One more question. Yes, sir.
Quick about don't have concealed carry, transporting a pistol in the car.
Keep it in plain view all the time, because if it's within arm's reach, it is also considered concealed, and you should not have it that way. I worded that poorly. If you have a car, keep it in the trunk. If you have a van, keep it out of arm's reach.
Well, let's say I have the pistol in the car, you can pull it over. Hey, I got to tell the officer, same thing if you have concealed carry. Got a pistol in the front seat. Right there.
And it's just sitting there and the officer can see it, then you might be fine. I would be concerned if you were in Charlotte and that happened, but a lot of the outlying counties and areas, even up to Huntersville and Huntersville and Cornelius, officers seem to be more lax about that, as long as you are not concealing that firearm.
Right. Well, I've actually been stopped several times. I mean, I've had it on my side. I don't have a concealed carry. Even told the state trooper I've got a little pistol on my side because otherwise it stays there. I'm fine.
Okay, I would stop doing that, but
Usually when it's on my side.
okay.
So we're all dressed up in camouflage. There's a backseat full of rifles.
Okay, that's That would you're probably fine. That's the best I can tell you is maybe, probably, but as long as it's not concealed, as long as you're not intentionally concealing it in a console or a glove box or between the seats, something like that, and then because if you do that and then you don't have the CCW, then you're going to be in trouble. If you do that and you don't have a CCW and you don't tell the officer, or you do have a CCW and you don't tell the officer, and he finds it, you're going to be in trouble. I would even tell you I would go so far as to say, if you didn't tell the officer in time that you have a firearm as he approaches your vehicle, and it's not the first thing you said to the officer, you realize 5 minutes into the stop that you have it, keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything, because they'll say, all right, show me. Go through all the motions, run the numbers, then he's going to take that, you're going to get a citation, and you might go to jail. Yet you're going to be charged with a misdemeanor, and you'll lose your CCW if you're convicted, and you might lose your ability to get a CCW in the future.
No, I was going to ask how we're kind of laughing. So.
That's fine. You do what you want. I'm just saying it's happened. It's happened to people I know directly. All right. I want to take one more question. Did you seem like you had another question? Okay, one more question.
I do have a CCW.
Okay.
If you carry a gun, I need to make sure of this. If you carry a gun in your car concealed to another state, I have to know what the laws are of that state.
Yes.
If you get stopped in, like, what do they say, Maryland?
Mm-hmm. You're subject to the laws of Maryland and whatever the concealed carry law is in Maryland. You might have your CCW here for North Carolina. There might be reciprocity with Maryland, but you still have to abide by their requirements. So if you're on your way to Maryland and you drive through D.C., before the Heller case, you used to have to stop, pull to the side of the road, take your gun apart, put it in separate cases, and then continue through D.C. And then when you get out, pull to the side of the road, stop your car, put your gun back together, and continue driving. And they will not play around in places like D.C. Do not test that in places like New York, Massachusetts, or California. All right, folks, thank you so much for attending this. I've got more of these talks coming in the future. I'm happy to do them. If you want me to come out to your church or your social group, I'm more than happy to do that as well. If you don't know about my Facebook page, you can find me on Facebook. I've got all the information on the YouTube channel that will be hosting these videos. And anyone that did find me through Facebook, I'm going to be posting this video in a little while for everyone to disperse out to people. Go ahead, share the video all you want, and thank you again.